Welcome or welcome back. This is your curious European friend. So, I think last week, or I don't know when, but recently I reacted to a video about Quebec City. And in that video, the woman in the video mentioned the Battle of the Plains of Abraham. And I did not know what that was. So, in this video, I want to learn more about that. And I did look up like little tiny definition. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, that battle led to the victory of the British. So they essentially conquered Canada, which ended the French control. But yeah, that's about all I know so far. So in this video, I want to learn more about that. And I tried to find a good video, but again, I don't really know what that constitutes because I don't know anything about it. I looked in the comments and I think they said it was a pretty good representation, so we're just gonna go with it. And yeah, let's go.
It is 9:30. The real battle has not yet begun. For 30 minutes, the British artillery pummels the French line to create disorder while the army is still...
Hold on, I'm gonna just see if I can turn up these subtitles.
...forming on the hill. Decides he will not wait for Bougainville's reinforcements. He will strike at the British this morning. He rides to his artillery commander, Montbéliard.
I spoke for a moment with Monsieur le Marquis de Montcalm, who told me we will not be able to avoid the battle. If we give them enough time to establish themselves, we will never be able to attack with the kind of army we have.
Montcalm orders a general advance. At approximately 10 o'clock, the Battle of the Plains of Abraham begins.
So, what I'm gathering from this so far is that the British troops had not fully gathered yet, and the French saw that as an opportunity to then attack because they were like, our forces or our troops are smaller, maybe. And so they were like, we need to attack now before they, gather more soldiers. I think that's what I'm gathering, but...
It is a textbook maneuver. Montcalm's army will advance in a massive column. It will sweep down the hill and smash the thin red line. But the French line that started down the hill is uncoordinated, and after a short distance, the first mistake. Someone gives the order to halt the advance and fire. Volley is pointless. The British are far out of range. The French resume the advance, their lines more confused and disordered with every step. Wolf's soldiers wait. When the French are within 40 yards of the British, they form for their second volley. This time they can see the faces of the men in the British line. As the French reload, the British take position to fire.
I'm gonna say, like, I'm confused. Why didn't they fire back? Like, was that a deliberate choice? Or were they not thinking that the French would actually fire or something? Because, I mean, if you see them coming, then I would assume that you know they're gonna fire. So that makes me think that that was deliberate, but then were the first man in the line just a sacrifice to then fire back when the French had to reload? Or
Finally, in the smoke and confusion, James Wolfe issues the most important military command of his life. The British volley is devastating. A mile-wide burst of concentrated fire. The French line is dazed, but stands its ground. Then the Highlanders unleash an advance with broadswords that can slice a man in half. Joseph Trahan of the Acadian militia is right in front of them.
I can remember the Scotch Highlanders flying wildly after us, with streaming plaids, bonnets, and large swords, like so many infuriated demons.
there's so much smoke. I assume, yeah, that was actually happening at the battlefield too. That's crazy. You can't even really see anything.
As the wall of British bayonets draws closer, confusion finally crumbles the French line.
Yeah, from what I saw in this video, the French line wasn't that coordinated to begin with. Maybe because they were rushing to attack, because they thought the British weren't fully gathered yet. So they rushed to get out there, and maybe that made their lines falter a bit. But now they're actually confusion's taking over. And the lines are, what's the word? Not upholding. And that seems like one of the worst things that can happen to you. So when you start to get confused in a battle, at least that's what I assume, because I assume that to be a very dangerous feeling or emotion when you're fighting, because that probably means you're going to be too late in taking any sort of action, which costs lives, as we see here, I guess.
The Battle of the Plains of Abraham, has lasted barely 15 minutes.
That sounds really short.
Sometime just after the British volley, James Wolfe is struck by a fatal shot in the chest. At the crest of the hill, Montcalm is engulfed in a stream of retreating men. Sometime in the next few moments, he is struck by a musket ball below his ribs. Most of the French flee up the hill towards the walls of Quebec. With them, Joseph Trahan.
I was amongst the fugitives and received in the calf of the leg a spent bullet, which stretched me on the ground. I thought it was all over for me, but presently I rose up and continued to run.
The British are within reach of
Probably the adrenaline.
the gates of Quebec, with the Highlanders leading the charge. Until they are stunned by a barrage of fire from the surrounding woods and fields.
No, I did not see that coming. Well, guess they didn't either.
Hundreds of Canadian militia and Indians cover the retreating French army.
How did the British still win then? I guess we're gonna see that, but...
The first wounded are brought to the General Hospital and to Marie de la Visitation. James Wolfe lived only a few minutes, long enough to hear that he had defeated the French.
Huh? Oh, so I guess... Because it seemed like when the French recovered that the British were withdrawing, but then since the French had withdrawn first, that meant that the British still won, or I don't really know how that works, but okay. So I guess, yeah, that was how it went.
His body will be sent back to England, where he will be the Empire's newest hero. He was 32 years old. Louis-Joseph, the Marquis de Montcalm, will survive for one more day. His body is put in a makeshift box because there are no coffins left, and buried in a hole made by a British cannonball. He was 47 years old.
You're both so young.
1,300 men were killed or wounded on the plains of Abraham. All will be buried, French and English together, in large common pits on the plains. The location of their graves will never be marked. 10 days after the battle, the French artillery commander Montbéliard makes an entry in his journal.
20 times I have picked up my pen, and 20 times sorrow has made it fall from my hands. How can I bring to mind such overwhelming events? We were saved, and now we are lost.
So the British won because the French line was not really coordinated. But I wonder if did the French just have a lower amount of soldiers to begin with? And they just had a lesser chance to win the battle because of that. Yeah, I wonder, because it's crazy that the battle was only 15 minutes long, but that puts into perspective just how much can happen in 15 minutes as well. Like, that is insane. But yeah, I wonder if they could have waited to start the battle and gathered more soldiers, or if they out of necessity, and yeah, that wasn't really an option and therefore started the battle. Let me know, because that would give even more context to how this went and how the British won. But yeah, like I said, that is a crazy battle. I did not know that was only 15 minutes that it took place, and that also meant that the British conquered Canada, I guess, if I say that correctly. Let me know in the comments once again. But it was a very interesting watch, and gives more insight into, of course, the history of Canada and how that played out in Quebec City. Because when she mentioned that in the other video, I was like, I have no idea what the Battle of the Plains of Abraham is, and now I do. So anyways, yeah, I hope to see you in my next video very, very soon, and let me know in the comments once again a bit more context if you do know that.